Hey, 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 hello. I can see my mic meter moving and I might be a little hot. Sorry about that. I'm always a little hot, you know. Hi, everybody. The camera's a little blown out. Maybe I should turn off this light. I can. Is that better? It's a little better. Hi. I love this already. Look at this already. We've got Twitch, PeerTube, and Owncast already. We don't have YouTube yet now. I'm pretty sure I did the YouTube thing right. I double checked it this time. There's only one live source. So if your YouTube chat is broken. Oh, great. Okay, hang on. At least we're aware of it this time. Auto find live sources. Aha. All right. There we go. Yes, I can see it now. Okay. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, Indy. Hi. Yeah, I really appreciate you checking on that for me. That's it's weird. It doesn't register the random string of characters until after you've been live for a bit, apparently. I don't know. It's weird. There we go. Hello, Ann. Nice to see you. I immediately tested this. Yeah, thank you. You are the wind beneath my wings, etc. How you doing, everybody? Literally minutes before, as I was getting ready for this stream, if you're on the Discord, you may know this. One of the bigger promotional accounts on the Fediverse, Fedi.video, gave me a big shout out and promoted all the Fediverse stuff that I do. So it's really cool. That was really appreciated, and thank you very much. So we I think I may account for some of the Fediverse folks being here already. Nice to see. Love the Fediverse, as y'all know. And you know, I was kind of thinking this morning, it's like it used to be a real pain because now we're streaming at the 4 different endpoints, right? But then I thought about it for a second. Yeah, hang on, that's actually good, because if there's one lesson I think we could all take away from the past few years, it's that relying on one single platform, probably a bad thing. So the more the merrier. Let's go. Let's stream out to 12 different endpoints. Let's do it. And confirm. Yes, nice. There we are. See more Owncast. Love to see, because the Owncast server is relatively new. This is the new one, so we have to build a follower count again. So, Mike, hello. Nice to see you. Look at all these people showing up here already. I wish I had more to do on the build stream today, but it's going to be a very chill kind of thing. I literally could have finished what I had planned this week before the stream even started, but I actually stopped myself and went, if you do this, you won't have anything to do on the build stream. So we're just chilling. I really got it done this week, and I don't know, things just kind of fell into place. So anyway, so we're just hanging out. We're having a chill time, as the build stream should be. So, and just keep testing the different streams so everyone knows YouTube has a significant delay today. Oh, well, that's literally nothing I can do about that. That's not on my end. It don't. You know what I mean? That's YouTube. Guess what? YouTube's bad. You know what doesn't have a significant delay? The box sitting over there, my PeerTube server. Anyway, that's enough lecturing. I'm drinking coffee and having lozenges already. Let me tell you, it's a flavor combination you want to avoid. But I am going to be doing a lot of talking because I'm live streaming, so. I'll pause and let YouTube catch up. Yes, thank you, Indy. Indy's doing some work. YouTube keeps breaking itself with the fixes that no one asked for. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, what's your subscription dollars for if not adding features? Don't pay for a YouTube subscription, FYI. At least not to watch my stuff. None of my stuff is monetized anyway, so. So anyway, how you doing? Puppets, huh? I guess we should probably talk about what we're going to do today, since I've already spilled the beans that it's not much. Let's go to the big overview cam. It's my coffee. Yeah, a couple of Greeblies. So originally, I'm multitasking, working on IRL job. Also, I was doing that yesterday. This is one of the nice things about streaming people, particularly as I'm following a couple of games that I like, and you know, new things coming out. It's like I can just watch my favorite game being streamed by some of my favorite people and work at the same time. And this is what I've been working on. I didn't originally plan on doing Greeblies this week. Stuff happened. I didn't have supplies that I wanted to. So I had to switch it up, and then the last Greeblies sold like last week. And you know, Greeblies are one of my staples. I always try to have one or two available for folks because they are popular. And so I went, wow. Since I couldn't do what I was originally planning on doing, as I was deciding what should I do instead, the answer was obvious. Do a couple of Greeblies, because I always like having these around. People enjoy them. And the other part of that was last week, if you recall, I did those Nernies with the yellow one with that very interesting fabric. This here stuff, the kind of ragdoll looking stuff, or rag mop looking stuff. And the body turned out really nice, and I like it a lot. So actually, so the blue Nerdy that we did with the wig, that's gone because that was a custom commission. Shout out, you know who you are. But the other Nerdy, forgive my torso, is still here. And so you can see the finished product now from what we were doing last week. Did you find another source for fur? No, that's what I'm in the process of doing. I still have to actually leave the house and go out and literally walk into fabric stores and talk to people and see if I can source some fur, because I have yet to be able to do that. Possibly tomorrow. But here's our other Nerny. Here's our yellow and green critter, and yeah, I think it's pretty good. They're very friendly, very happy, you know. And this fabric on the body is really neat. I like it a lot. It has limited uses because of how thin it is, but what? I don't know. Anyway, you can do a lot with a look. This is one of the things I want to like impart to people who are looking for performance. It's like, don't oversell it. Sometimes just a little, you know, a little moment can happen, and it's just like, okay, that's enough. You do less with more. Anyway. No, Anne, I'm sorry, no, I'm not going to sell my patterns. I'll be frank, the business is barely holding together, and I need all the patterns I've got. If I start selling patterns, why would anybody buy my puppets, right? Like, that's, I know it's harsh, but I have to keep that stuff in-house. Like, if I develop something for the business, it has to stay for the business. I would consider like doing patterns specifically for sale, but I would not be selling any of the patterns that I use for my standard models that go to the shop. So unfortunately, no, that is not a thing that's going to happen. But as y'all know, patterns aren't important. I've got a whole series here on the YouTube channel about how you can make your own patterns. They're not that hard to make. You're going to be getting into puppet building. That's like one of the first things you should do is learn how to make your own patterns. So yeah, the black outline around the eyes. Yeah, we were talking about that on the podcast, last podcast. about the Bert style, right? Because if you look at Ernie's eyes and Bert's eyes, Ernie's eyes don't have a black ring and Bert's do. It's a very subtle little thing, but just adds something, particularly with that head shape. I'm not quite sure why, but sorry, I forgot to put that Do Not Disturb again. Here we go. I had a question. I am looking to make a puppet that looks like metal. Okay. What's the best way to go about that? So that, golly, it depends on what kind of materials you want to use, right? If you're going to try and keep it light, which I always advise, light, the lightest you can possibly get it, is always going to be better, at least from a performer standpoint. So that's where the challenge comes in, right? Because you could just go, oh, well, let's just make it out of, you know, something rigid, like 3D print parts or whatever, or plastic, or, you know, glue plastic together or whatever. And then you can just, like, you know, paint it or something. But that would end up being quite heavy, and you probably don't want that. Shep to Bud, hello, nice. There are many ways to make patterns, and there's some good books out there. Help, however, you need to do some digging to find this. True. It is true. So good question, actually. A robot, huh? Well, I know you can get some, like, metallic fabrics. So if I was going to do it, I would probably decide to do it as a soft body. So I would sculpt it in foam in some way, or pattern it in foam in some way. And then instead of using fleece for the skin, I would try and find some of, there's, like, you know, lamaze and stuff. There's some metallic fabrics that have a metallic sheen to it, and just use that as the skin. The problem, or the challenge there, is that very few of those fabrics, I assume, although I don't have any direct experience with them, so this may be not true, is that they're probably not very stretchy, and that is the thing you want in fabric that you're going to use as puppet skin. Now, that being said, fur is usually not stretchy, and we use that quite a lot too. So that's what I would do. I would go to a fabric store, or look around, you know, in an online fabric shop, and see if you can find metallic fabrics. And then I would sculpt it or pattern it in foam, and then just use that as the skin. Also depends, there's lots of different kinds of robots, right? So it really depends on what you're going for. The other thing you might want to do, depending on what kind of robot it is instead of building a whole, like, inner foam structure, like your standard puppet with a skull and a body and arms and all that stuff, is sculpt it in, I don't know, something lightweight, like, or plastic or something, or even 3D print it, but do it as, like, a scaffolding, almost like just an internal, almost like a wireframe, right? And then skin that with the metallic fabric. And that would end up being both quite light, but also very rigid, right? Which is perhaps what you're going for. So, like a metallic lycra, maybe. Yeah, exactly. That's what I would at least first entertain. You would just have to go out and, like, or you go online and see what kind of fabrics are out there. I think the fabric would be the thing that sells it, really. How you do the internal structures, or the sort of the overall shape, there's lots of different ways to go about that. My only advice there would be to just try and keep it light. So if you are going to do something rigid, do it as a kind of skeletal framework, as a scaffolding, right? That will then just be something you can attach the fabric onto, rather than a solid chunk of something. Keeping it light, that's the most important thing. Might be able to 3D print the metallic filament as well. Yeah, absolutely. And but the thing is, that would still end up being quite heavy. As somebody who does a lot of 3D printing, you do want to be very, very careful about what or like the amount of infill and that kind of thing. Because there's always a trade-off between, you know, the infill versus the strength, right? You don't want something to break easily, obviously, but you also, the more infill, the more plastic, the heavier. So it's a trade-off. I'm looking at a robot that looks like it's from the Repo game. I'm not familiar with that game, so I'm afraid I can't help you there, but yeah. It's really the same answer for a lot of this kind of stuff. It's like the first thing you need to do is think about the overall shapes, break it down into sort of basic forms, pattern those out in some way, and then think about covering it in some kind of fabric. A 3D printer, but the fabric way sounds best. Yeah, well, the 3D printer is just like, it's really just a convenient time saver. You absolutely do not need a 3D printer. I didn't have a 3D printer for the first 3 years of me doing this. Now that I do, it's a lifesaver, let me tell you, and a huge time saver, but you don't need it. There's other ways. It will just take longer, that's all. It's a fairly new game. Okay, which is one of the reasons why. Greg the Money, hello, nice to see you. Wow, lots of people showed up today. Yeah, I only play old games, so. Well, although not necessarily retro games, I just play older games in general. I play Warframe. That's what it comes down to. Some libraries have 3D printers for community use. Absolutely, and that's the other thing. Is like if you're going to get into this kind of thing, you know, more and more as a recurring hobby at least. Look for maker spaces, look for, you know, like community groups and things. Very often you will find people who will come together and share their resources and, you know, that kind of thing. So, or like tools, sometimes you won't have a tool that you need. There are very often tool libraries around and stuff like that that you can get involved with, so. Greg the Bunny, oh no, somebody else has been looped into Warframe as well. Pitfalls to avoid when trying to shoot video with puppets on green screen. Yes, this I can speak to directly as having done some of it. And from a design standpoint, never make a puppet that is both blue and green. You will have no options for compositing that. I did that a bit in the past, and let me tell you, I regretted it. The advice for shooting puppets on the green screen is the same as shooting anything on a green screen. Lighting is your most important factor. If you can light the screen and the subject separately, which means getting them farther apart, that's the most important. And you want to try and light the green screen evenly, although with modern software, that's less of a problem. It's more of getting a visual separation between them. If you've got a lot of shadow that's being cast on it, or if there's a lot of glare coming from the screen onto your subject, that's going to create problems for compositing. So if you look at it, or if you look at it particularly through the camera, because those are different things, your eyes in the camera.
Could you say that again?
Good heavens. No, I did not. Siri interrupted me. No, shush. I did not say anything to activate. Did I say anything even close to, anyway? I've lost my train of thought now that Siri has frightened me. Yeah, look at it through the camera, not just with your eyes, because what the camera sees, what our eyes see are two different things. Yeah, it is bad Siri. I don't know why. I should take my watch off and put it in a different room for this stream. That's what I should do. Although if I'm waiting on a delivery or something, sometimes I need it. I know, really. Wow. Bad. Not good. Anyway. I don't want to get frightened by my not AI assistant. Let me tell you, if you try to avoid the AI stuff and yet you still want to use the voice recognition stuff, you got a challenge every time there's an update because it automatically turns on all the AI garbage. And guess what? I don't want it. Very few people do, turns out. Anyway. So I know that's probably not a complete answer, but it's the best one I've got. Light them separately, and also don't try and composite in a single pass. A lot of people try and like do it all in one, you know, effect layer. It's often more helpful to try and do it in several passes where you're eliminating either the greens or the blues or whatever the screen color is, where you're not trying to do the entire range of greens. You're trying to do it, you do like some of the greens and then a next pass do some more of the greens, and you don't try and get it all done at once. If you can do some basic rotoscoping, that as well will help. If you can do like a basic mask around, even if that mask is just a garbage mat that just gets rid of a lot of the background that the Puppet never touches, then that will help as well. The less stuff the computer has to remove visually, the easier it is for the computer to calculate the composite. So I don't know if that helps or not, but that's all I got. I'm thankful in that DaVinci Resolve, which is the video editor I use, is quite a robust compositing suite and uses, sorry to say, although I'm not really sorry to say, because this is a good use for it, uses a lot of machine learning algorithms to, it's a neural learning net, but this is a really good example of how machine learning can actually be helpful rather than just lying to you and ripping off artists. It is quite good at sort of guessing what a green screen is versus what a green screen isn't. And so it has these sort of helper algorithms built in. So if you can get a software package that has some of that stuff in it, that will help you as well, particularly if it's bad lighting or something. Sometimes you can't control your lighting. My lighting, like whenever I try to do a green screen composite, it's a nightmare because I literally, the Puppet and the green screen are like this far apart. So there's always bad lighting and shadows and glare and everything. It's a real problem to try and get a good composite. So particularly also fur, fur and hair and anything fine and thin. That is the worst case scenario. And all you have to do is to see that is look at any Hollywood production. I mean, look at the Star Wars prequels, right? And at the time, this was the best of the best, using the most advanced equipment, and there's still composite problems with hair and fur and stuff like that. So it's a real challenge that there really isn't a good answer for. This is, again, one of the places where machine learning can actually be helpful because it does do a better job at eliminating the issues with fur and hair and just sort of guessing, oh, okay, that's probably hair. Let's not composite that out, for example. So anyway, that's what I got for that. I haven't actually shot video like that in a long time. I really should because I miss it. Greg the Buddy's like quoting my own podcast at me. Of fleece and fur, of foam and industrial adhesives. So I hope you have good ventilation. There we go. Some Oracle Live for you. We should probably get on with the building of the puppets because I don't have a lot left to do, as you can see. What we got is these two Greebly blanks. So I got to do a couple of tongues. I even have the tongues already cut out. So those just have to be shaded. And then the hair and the pupils, and that's it. Then they're done. I was thinking about doing eyelids, but honestly, I think I've done eyelids for the past 3 or 4 live streams. You're probably all sick of seeing eyelids. At least the regulars are. We'll do, this is one of the problems with doing a live stream of me just working on my work at the same time, the same day, every week, is that I'm usually at the same stage of the build, right? So I'm doing the same thing. I'm making the features, for example. On Thursdays, I try and finish what I've been working on for the week. So this is the day that I do the eyes and nose and ears and all that kind of stuff. And so you are going to see, but that will be true of any stage in the week. So the only answer is to just move around the day that I live stream. And I really honestly can't live stream more than 1 day a week. So this is probably still the better solution. So it's from Larsen Melonhead pattern. So the Melonhead from Project Puppet, you mean? Yeah, I have that pattern. It's quite good. Sometimes, you're right, sometimes enlarging a pattern will change how it behaves if you don't also proportionally enlarge the thickness of the foam, and that's the difference. This is a good point, actually. Thank you. So when you take a shape, I don't really have, well, I kind of have, excuse me, forgive my torso once again. See if I can pull up some of these. I've actually used some of them. I don't have the original form it came from, unfortunately. Or maybe I do. This was from, I've shown this before, but it's worth showing again. Oh wait, I do have it. Oh, it's all the way back here. Oh, okay. Anyway, here, let's go to the top-down cam. This is actually good to show. I've shown this before, but it's always worth doing again. Since we're talking about patterns, this is a really good example of how things can get weird as you scale up. So this was a 3D printed form that I made of a basic head shape that I wanted. And so it's half of it, obviously, and this is what I flat patterned off of. And you can do this with anything. You find like just an object, like literally take a ball or something and start drawing on it where you think you want the darts or the seams or whatever to go. And that's, you know, flat patterning is varied and many. I used to have the actual pattern part. It's probably around somewhere, but anyway, this is what I tape patterned off of. I just put masking tape all over this, drew the lines where I kind of felt the line should be. There's a dart here, and these are all darts here. And this was, other than the bottom part, which is just where the chin should be, that's why this is all drawn off like that. This is, in profile, what I wanted the head shape to kind of be. This was for the Nosferatu puppet years ago. So that was the beginning. This is kind of the perfect form that I wanted. And then I started making it in foam. So after I flat patterned it, I first made it in foam. And here is the prototype that was made from the pattern that is the same size as the original prototype. And it is a cute little, you know, bulbous, very alien looking head, which was close, but not quite what I wanted. And what I found was I just dropped the line. Where did it go? There it is. As I would scale up, so what I started doing was I started just taking that pattern and scaling it up. Now, the way I usually scale stuff up is I'll take the hand-drawn pattern, scan that in, take it into a vector art program, make it into vectors, and then you can scale it to whatever you want. Just print it out on multiple pieces of paper, cardboard, or whatever. But what I found was as I scaled it up, this started happening. So here's the next iteration, the next scale up, and then here's the final. And as you can see, what has started happening as you go from one generation to the next is the head just got more and more like wider, right? It just became more and more voluminous. So this is the full size. This is the pattern it came from. And as you can see, there's quite a difference. This is quite a bit wider. The reason that happened, as I learned as I was doing this process, was because although you're scaling up the size of the pattern, it's the thickness of the foam, because this relies on the foam being at a certain kind of tensile strength. So if we press this in, you can see, oh, that's closer to what the original was. And that's, if the foam was thicker, that's what it would be shaped like. So you have to compensate for that. What I ended up doing to get to this original, or close to this original shape, and I do not have a skull for that because it went in the alien that I sold recently. I literally just ended up cutting off like 2 of these darts. 2 of these darts just kind of came away, and then I closed up the rest, and that narrowed the head down to much closer to the original idea. And that's all. So yes, you are quite correct in that the scaling can change how the foam behaves, but you can also compensate for that. So for example, if you are scaling up, say the melon head pattern, you might want to either add a new dart if you're going to like try and make it more rounded. That's the other thing. Darts can change properties as you scale up. So sometimes they'll get sort of more square, more pointy. If that happens, add more. If you want it narrower than the finished product, take away a couple of darts. Just literally trim them off. Like this, for example. You can see in the back here, here's where the 2 darts came down. There's the center line. 2 darts came down here. I literally just cut those off and then glued the 2 sides together, and it ended up being the shape I wanted. So, so that is it. You will have to sort of make it and see what you get, and then adjust based on that. there isn't really well, there is a science behind it, but it's complex math that I don't know. So that's it. That's really the piece of advice I would give for anything like this. It's like, if you're not sure what you're going to get, make it. See what you get. You will absolutely, no matter what you end up getting, you will absolutely learn something. Let's catch up on chat now. The eye shape, yeah. Earlier this week, I built replicas of Fat Cat Scat Group, although I did not make sunglasses for them, though. Sunglasses are tricky. The ones that I have used, for example, with Jelly Roll here, I don't know if I have any more, actually. I got these little tiny sunglasses that are meant for pets, apparently. I don't know what animal, like, well, at least not a cat. I guarantee you would never sit still to have these things put on. They seem to be proportioned for that, though. I thought I had some spares. I guess I don't. I didn't use them all, but I think the ones that I had left I couldn't use. But here, let's grab Jelly Roll here. Oh, Jelly Roll's buried in the back. Oh, it's been a while, Jelly Roll. I'm sorry. Yeah, as you can see, they're little tiny sunglasses, but they ended up working out quite well. I've done a few puppets with this kind of sunglass. Hello, huh? I forgot how to do the voice. Good heavens. There we go. Found it again. Yeah, notice a resemblance. Yeah, so what I ended up doing with these are tricky to mount, let me tell you, because what I ended up doing was burning a couple of holes. So yes, Jelly Rolls had fire next to his head, or at least things that were next to fire next to his head. And it's sort of injecting some hot glue in there and then inserting the tip of the glasses arm and just kind of holding it there until the glue set, and doing that for one side and then putting the other side in and doing the same thing and just kind of holding it there literally for like 20 minutes until the glue set. It was a lot. And also, I didn't anchor them in the center. I didn't quite get them centered as well. This has always bugged me about Jelly Roll. Nothing about Jelly Roll is centered properly. One day I'll fix it. Or not. It gives a personality, you know? But yeah. Oh, Jelly Roll, I miss you. We'll figure out something to do with Jelly Roll at some point. Looks like a member of the Electric Mayhem, you know? Now that's a compliment, y'all. I love how small Jelly Roll is. Jelly Roll is really, really small. Like, just form-fitting. My hand barely has room in there. It's teeny tiny. But that works. Smaller and lighter. Always better in a puppet. I'm gonna just lay Jelly Roll back here and put him away properly later, because I'm gonna be knocking stuff off this shelf if I don't. I bought doll glasses when I did the Smart Nerd puppet. Yeah, there's lots of options, and that's one of the sort of secret weapons that I would advise is, like, if you're ever looking for things like clothing or accessories and stuff that can be tricky to either make yourself, particularly if you're not a tailor like me. I'm not a tailor, that's what I'm saying. Look for like doll clothing, doll accessories, or even infant, you know, like Halloween costumes and stuff. You can get a lot. That is about the right size. The best way to use plastic on fleece with hot glue is to sand the surface. Yeah. Or any glue for that matter. That's one of the things, that's how glue works, right? It needs a surface to grab onto. If you have a completely flat, non-porous surface, there's nothing for the glue to sink down into. So when you sand it, that's what you're doing. You're creating some roughness and some surface texture. And that's true for any kind of glue. But yeah, we should probably build the puppets. See, I could count on y'all to like not let me have nothing to do, because there's always going to be questions. And that's the point. That's what we're here for. And thankfully, today, I'm not in a hurry or anything. I don't have to get, these are definitely going to be done today, so everything's fine. Which is good, because I got a dentist appointment tomorrow. Boo. Anyway, let's have a lozenge and get on with these. I should like to finish them. So the question is, now, let's go back to this one. I was not from experience, yeah. Well, and that's the best way to learn, right? What kind of hair do we want on these? Now I have some feathers, but I don't have a lot, and it's tricky. The thing about this one, so what I did, as you saw with the Nurney that has this fabric, is usually I just match the hair to the fabric on the body. But that's a bit of a challenge now with the yellow one here, because we've got this funky sort of rag duster fabric. Now that would, as I looked at it, what camera would be better for this? Honestly, probably this one. The interesting thing about this fabric is it might actually be good as hair as well if I just kind of bunch it up or make a bundle of it like that. That might work, right? So let's see. And this is the point at which I am just riffing. I have no idea what I'm going to do. So let's just have a look and see what it looks like. So, you know, maybe that's not bad. It's really quite interesting. So, I think, yes, we're going to try to do that. This is probably what we're going to spend the majority of the rest of the stream on, because this I am just guessing and riffing. Let's go to this. So as I mentioned before, the problem with this fabric is that it is extremely thin. You can even see the surface of the table through, like it's just got these sort of bald patches where it's just very, very thin. So I want to do something to help with that. Now, if we're gonna bunch it up and make like just a bundle of it, that will automatically help, obviously, with the thinness. If we just make like a ball of it. Looks like noodles for ramen, yeah. Indy, I take a long trip to borrow the Ghostbusters bands. It's part of the reason you've been seeing a lot about it. Well, yes, actually, I have been looking at your channel. Very cool. Check out Indy's Keep channel. I don't know if the new chat interface will let you post a link, but by all means, give it a shot, see what happens. So I think what I might do, I'm not going to want to make it solid fabric because that's just too much and it's too hard to control. So I would still want to make it like a skin, but we need a form to put inside that we're then going to sort of wrap this around. And it really should just be kind of a dome, I guess. Let's see, what can we do? What I do possibly have, standing up, oh, that's a terrible noise. Oh, you know what? These might work actually. Speaking of 3D printing, here's a couple of eyes. These are 3D printed eyes. But you'll notice something about them is they're a dome. So what we could, in theory, do is use these as like a form to put underneath the fabric and to just give it some shape. Right now, that's definitely too small. And here we run into the thinness of the fabric issue again. Let's see if there we go. That is a good shot. You can see how thin that is, right? This is why I couldn't make a live hands puppet out of it, because it's just so thin. We should double it up then. I think no matter what we do, we're going to double up that fabric. So these are too small. The other thing I'll sometimes do is I'll just take like a chunk of foam, like a big old piece of solid foam, and I'll make like a pom-pom just around it. That's probably the easiest solution for this. So I don't actually have a solid piece of, like a 2-inch piece of foam or anything, is what we would want for this. Let's see, what can we do instead? I got so much stuff just lying around. This is why we always go in with a plan, Kevin. You don't have a plan, stuff like this happens. I definitely do not want to have to barge anything together. I don't want to get the freaking mask out this time around. Oh, what can I do? I'm pulling out scraps of fur off the floor just to see if I can find some foam. I have this. This is the last of my reticulated foam, literally. This is it. This is all there is. You 3D print your eyes. Do you print them pegged down with supports? So I try and make it so there's always a flat side. So, for example, yes, basically what you described is how it goes. This gets printed all in one go, basically like this. Right, so there's a flat side, and I'm just lucky enough that this sort of situation here doesn't seem to cause a problem because this is a kind of gradual curve up. If this were a more extreme curve, you'd have problems here with overhang, and you would need to print supports under here. But thankfully, I don't have to print these with supports. So this literally is it. This is how it comes off the print bed. And it's very handy. So as long as your curve isn't too steep, like I've done hemispheres. I do hemispheres all the time. In fact, well, the ones on this right here, these are the same. These are 35 millimeter ones. Again, these just come off the print bed like this. This is literally half a sphere. And it is just a peg, threaded peg with a shaft in the middle. Real close to see if the camera can autofocus, to see if I can autofocus. And that's it. That is literally how it comes off the print bed, just like that. So yes, thankfully no supports needed, at least not with my hardware. Your mileage may vary. So that's really one of the things that you learn to do early on with 3D printing is, if you don't have to use supports, find any way to avoid using supports, because they are unfun and often will result in you having to do extra work. It's better to like literally cut an object in half and glue it together if it means you can get a flat surface to print off of, than it is to like print something with supports and then have to clean it up. There's usually a way you can work it out, but you do have to give it some thought. But yeah, so yeah, no, I avoid supports when possible. So while I'm thinking about the foam situation here, I've also got tons of this scrap. We could hot glue some of this together. That would be easy enough. And I do have the hot glue guy. I mean, this doesn't need to be perfect. This just needs to hold together. And believe me, hot glue will hold this stuff together. Let's do the tongues to start with, just to get warmed up. Get warmed up. It's 43 minutes into the live stream already, and we're just starting to get going. Kevin's been yakking a bit today. And I'm also out of coffee, which is probably a good thing. Although, you know, we'll be going for a coffee break soon. Let's see, let's grab marker. It's a slightly darker red. I do have to blow my nose, excuse me. I got the window open and there's all this fresh air. Who needs that? One sec. Have the perspicacity to mute the mic first. Hot melt next time. Yes, you are correct. It is not hot glue, it is hot melt. I'm using the vernacular. For you lexicographers out there. I know you're there. Anyway, well, you know what? Actually, maybe go to this. Yeah, a little bit. Again, the glare is like, where's the glare coming from? Let's see, is it this side or is it this side? Looks like it's this side. Let me see. This is live lighting. That's exciting. Let's see if I turn. Nope, that's not it. That's not the glare. Nope, that's bad. I was thinking that you thought you're using the heart tongues as pupils. No. Although that's another thing that I haven't experimented with nearly enough is using different shaped pupils. I tend to go for the traditional Muppety style, if you haven't noticed. But there is leeway. There are other ways to go. I think somebody on my Discord, forgive me if you're watching, I can't remember who it was, used teddy bear noses as pupils once. So they had like this triangular shape and it looked fantastic. If it had been my idea, I'd be doing that all the time now, but I don't want to like crib somebody else's thing, particularly because I do sell them, so that would be improper and impolite. Although if you are watching and you give me permission, it's a whole different thing. Anyway, the usual, I'm just doing a little bit of shading on the fold in the back part of the tongue. Yes, Stan, this is a non-challenging Greebly design. This is just real simple. Although, experimental furs. Interesting and weird. We all love interesting and weird. All right, so we got some of the shading in there. I'm just gonna blend it a little bit. Stop using turtle wax. Just a little bit of subtle shading. It's the little details that really sell it. There we go. Very, very subtle. You can see it just kind of makes a nice little gradient towards the bottom. And does not take a lot of time. So, this is literally just put a drop of hot glue and stick it in the mouth. Nothing complicated about that. You know, let's go to this one. Again, 75 cameras, none of them the right one. I'm gonna have to stand up for this. I'm always standing up when I work, and that's why this is just forced a habit, and I know it's bad for the camera. But anyway, here's our extremely crusty glue gun. Look at this thing. Wow, I need to clean that. What a mess. Anyway, so this is usually what I'll drop the Greebly. Oh, I should talk about this fur as well, because this fur is actually different than what I usually use as well, as you can see. We'll talk about that in a second. Let me just get these tongues glued in, which is a very odd sentence. So I just put a drop of hot glue, never out to the edges, just in the center. And visually line it up. The reason you don't put it out to the edges is in case you need to shuffle it around a little bit, you've got a little bit of leeway before the glue sets. Here we go. One tongue. Yeah, I know. That's the pupils. It's the ghost of a Greebly, you're right. I know this is just the first time Jamie walked in here when there was a whole lot of puppets on the shelves, and they've all got their mouths open, and it was like 1,000 puppets screaming at me in silence. It was very, very disturbing. And there. Again, I just look at it and sort of put it where it feels right. Oh, sorry, I missed something. That word in my message is not allowed. I wonder which word it was not allowed. Huh. Very, very strange. Okay. Hello, Jojo Puppet Studio. Nice to see you. I've been following your Fraggle build. Very, very nice. Everybody go and check that out. You want to see a primo Fraggle? I got good news for you. Yeah, I was going to talk about that fur, this purple fur here. Let's stay on this camera. I also just made this look like it's lopsided. Although it's straight to me, it's lopsided to you on the camera. I'll make it lopsided to me just so it looks nice. I started using some binder clips. My puppets just sit on the shelves so they stop giving people the creeps. Yeah, I know. Well, that's why I sometimes talked before about using, when I'm doing product photography, I'll use these. These are just like the chip clips to hold, a chip bag closed. I'll close the mouth with this just so it doesn't look like every puppet is screaming. It's a bad vibe. This is another bit of the weird fur that I got as I was just like looking at what was available locally. And this stuff came up and it wasn't really apparent. And this was literally the only color I wanted. I got lots of purple fur, but purple was the only color this was available at the time. So it wasn't really apparent. And it's not overly apparent on the camera. I wonder if is this bad? No, that's much worse. Okay, never mind. Oh, you know what? Let's try. How many cameras are you going to try before you get the thing that you're looking for? There's a texture in this that, yeah, you can kind of see it better here. So, as you can you see those stripes? That's even more pronounced IRL. And what it is the fur is actually trimmed like at a straight across, which is fine for garments and things, but that literally looks like a mistake that you would make when cutting fur, and that you've cut it like you've taken the scissors and gone snip like that and cut the fur rather than just the netting, which is what we try to avoid. We want to leave the length of the fur. This is like that, but the whole thing, and that wasn't apparent when I bought it from the thumbnail. Turns out that's what it was. So I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I can't use it like for a live hands monster or anything because this would just look terrible. But I realized, well, hang on, if I just rotate it 90 degrees, suddenly now the stripes kind of go away, and the way the fur falls, it obfuscates the stripes and just makes it kind of cashmere fuzzy like, and that I like a lot. So that's what I ended up doing with the purple Greebly here. He's got some hot glue spider webs hanging off his mouth. And it ends up being very, very sort of soft and fuzzy, and it's quite nice. So this ended up in a nice place. I wasn't sure where this was going to go, but I like it a lot. But that also begs, what am I going to do for the hair? Because I don't think that stuff would look good as hair, but we'll see. Hello, Dylan! The same for use of the orange monster, and it has the bad backing. Yeah, yeah, it's very strange. It's got like, It's almost glossy. It's almost like a nylon or something. I'm not sure what this is. It's very odd. It's hard to cut as well because it ends up getting like pieces. It's almost elasticy. I mean, it's got some stretch, which is nice for fur, but yeah, it's very strange. Limited uses, but you can find them. Anyway, where were we? We were trying to figure out what we're going to do for the yellow. Okay, so here's what I think I'm going to do. I am going to grab a scrap piece of foam here, and I'm going to cut out some relatively big circles. Actually, we're going to cut out a descending series of circles. Let's start. Let's see, how big should we make this? Let's go with this. We'll take a can of Super 77, good old Super 77. We'll make a circle there. Oh, even better. You know what? Even better. Empty coffee cup. Be careful not to mark the actual cup. This does not have to be exact. This just has to be about circular. Here we go. Then we'll go Super 77. And I guess we'll do one more after that. And you'll see where I'm going with this. I did that wrong. Why did I do that? I need to do it separate pieces, Kevin. What is wrong with you? I'm gonna glue them together. I'm gonna stack them together. And the last one, where are my leather punches? Uh-oh. They may have fallen down somewhere. I may have to get a different thing to make a circle. Oh no, how will we make a circle without the leather punches? I just didn't want to. I could have just hammered the punch through instead of having to cut it out. Oh well. Anyway, here we go. Let's take this. This is a old style dull joint. We'll use that as the final one. We're going to stack up 3 discs of foam. We're just trying to get some height and a very rough gradient. Don't even need to use a razor blade to cut these out. We're just going to use my foam shears because it doesn't need to be pretty or accurate or anything. We're just going to cut these out. Super easy. What was the most detailed puppet to build for a client that you can recall? I'm just standing over every puppet. Yeah, you know, doing this for almost 6 years now. I straight up can't remember every puppet. Interesting question. For a client, I would say Mississippi, the alligator that I did for, was it Keepsake? Oh golly, I'm pretty sure it was Keepsake. Mississippi was quite the build. That was like a absolute from scratch. New pattern, like new everything, and she had the hair and the new style eyes, and there was quite a lot that went into that. So I would say probably in terms of complexity, Mississippi, the alligator. In terms of mechanical complexity, I mean, really eyebrow mechs are the most complicated thing I generally do. Anyway, you can see what we're going with this. I'm just gonna stack these up like this. You call them bone shears? No, foam shears. Bone Shears is a good band name. Anyway, I'm just gonna use some hot glue for this because this will, believe me, fuse the foam together quite solidly. We're just gonna eyeball it. Doesn't have to be super accurate or anything. Yeah, I think my other punches fell into the void. There is a void. There's a couple of voids in this room, let me tell you. Oh, I did the wrong one. Hang on. The glue not set. Glue's not set. Yay! You get a second chance. How often do you get that? All we want here is a sort of disc shape that's got some height. That's the goal. Here, we can do all 3 at the same time. There we go, our little, it's not really a step pyramid because it's not a pyramid, but it is a step discomid. I'm making words up now for the lexicographers out there. Anyway, we're just gonna hold this. I am actually squeezing it down because the glue being hot, or the melt as it were, shout out Indies Keep, being hot, it will actually melt the foam a little bit, and this stuff will be like rock solid. Like, it's literally fusing, like molecularly fusing this together. So anyway, it's gonna sit here for a second while this sets. I want to think more because I want to say that I've made more complex puppets, although, you know, my style is generally as simple as possible. So there's not a lot of competition there for my own builds, but let me think. Probably as I was designing the eyebrow mech that I use now, which is all the 3D printed stuff, there's a degree of complexity that went through like 4 or 5 iterations before I kind of settled on the thing that I've got. Oh, you know what? Straight up, possibly next week is going to be the most complex in terms of mechanical stuff that I've ever done, because I'm experimenting with a new form of that brow mech that hopefully will be next week. So if you're sick of seeing Greeblies, don't worry. Next week, no matter what happens, is not going to be more Greeblies. But I have a build coming up. I can't do yet because I got to find the fur for it, but it's going to use a style of brow mech that I haven't done yet. Close, but not the same. We'll talk about it next week, assuming that I get there. But that may in fact be, the answer may be next week. We'll see. Okay, so now that we've got this little stack here, sick of Greeblies never. I know. Who could be sick of Greeblies? I mean, they're my Fraggle ripoffs. Come on. Look, I know it. You know it. We all know it. It's an homage. It's not a ripoff. It literally is that. That was my intention, at least. So what I think I'm going to do now we've got this. What we're gonna end up with is basically this, right? Which is just like a lump of foam with the fabric. And you can see how quickly I did that. I just literally, I had no plan. I'm just going in and gluing stuff together and seeing what happens. So let's see, let me find a chunk that we can just make it good. Now you want to make a circle bigger, considerably bigger than the thing it's going around. So let me just, as you can see, there's a failed pattern here. I realized I had it upside down from the thing I was drawing originally. Oops, that's bad. This is the other thing. Drawing on this stuff, on the underside of this stuff, is a nightmare. I have to use a black Sharpie in order to see it. And that can be bad because, again, very thin fabric. You got to make sure that you cut off the stuff you draw. But I'm going to give this quite a wide berth, as you can see. We're just kind of eyeballing it. I don't know if you can hear those sirens outside, but there are sirens outside. And yeah, trimming this stuff as well. Like, this fabric is bad for everything except looks. Which is the thing we care about, so. But yeah, try to cut this stuff like normal fur does not work. Where you're just trying to cut the netting and not the length of the fur. Like, you're gonna cut the little rag pieces. There's no way around that. So don't even try, and that's why you end up with this all over the place, these little fragments everywhere. It's not nice fabric to work with, it just looks really cool. So I'm trying to use it and then never ever look at it again unless they got different colors. This was the only color I could get this in at the time. It's one thing I'm hoping to do in the next few days is get out to fabric stores and just see what's out there. Even just seeing like stuff I've never even contemplated using before. Let's get weird. All right, there we go. We have our shedding circle of weird rag material. Now it's all over me and the floor. It's a good thing Jimmy's asleep. I'll be in here vacuuming this stuff up in no time. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put this pointy side down, and I'm gonna start just gluing this around. Just sort of wrapping this around until it's on the underside like that. If you see what I mean. And this is where it's going to get tricky because, as I said, this fabric, very, very thin. And I'm going to have, because I'm using hot melt, caught myself in time. I'm going to have to let it cool a little bit before we go and try and touch it, because otherwise, well, you could burn yourself because it's hot melt. We've got some napalm here, and we're just having some fun with it. First thing I'm going to do is put a little dab on the very crown, as it were. And I'm not going to press very hard because this is so thin that it'll just soak through and create like a big chunk on the top. We don't want that. I'm going to be sad when Joanne's shutters. Hobby Lobby isn't a good alternative. You are correct. Oh goodness, you are ever so correct. Yeah, well, this is a problem that I'm facing a lot too, because, you know, Canada, hi. Obviously getting anything from the States now is a challenge, shall we say. It was even before this. The import fees were just insane. Now, it's not even like, it's both financially and ethically questionable to buy anything from the States at the moment. So we're trying to avoid that, which does mean I have to try and domestically source the fabrics that I use, which is not easy. Again, TBD, because I still have yet to go out and actually try and do that. I can tell you online, not so much. But that might be different in person. So, okay. So what I'm gonna do, very, very carefully, honestly, the right way to do this, if you're gonna be smart and not an idiot like me, is you wanna do a running stitch. You actually wanna stitch this. You wanna take it, wrap it around, and then you wanna do a running stitch around the outside of it. Time consuming, not stream friendly. So I am going to risk burning myself for your entertainment. You're welcome. So I'm gonna put a little dab on there, let it cool for a second, but not too much. Then tap that down. It's gonna go in slow. See, bring the appropriate ring. Okay, good, that's good now. That's what we're gonna do, just around the entire circumference. We're an hour in already. We're just over an hour in already. We're just really getting rolling. Oh well. This was fun actually. Just kind of yapping, as the kids say. Small bowl of cold water will save your. You know what? That's smart. I really should have thought of that, and I didn't. And it's too late now. It's too late for me. Save yourself. Anyway, I'm sure I'll be fine. It's not like I haven't done this kind of thing before. He says with the confidence of an idiot. Okay, yeah, this isn't too bad. We got this. No problem. Even if it's, see, look, they're flaking off. Even if it's just to tack it down and then do a running stitch, that would be the smarter thing to do. You just want to be able to hold it in place, really, because stuff really wants to move around. My disdain for measuring things is really on display here, isn't it? The confidence of an idiot. I know, right? You have cold coffee. I don't have any coffee. I got coffee in the next room. I got to take a coffee break soon and get some more coffee because, you know, I really need that. I haven't been to the gym yet today or been for a walk. Now that the weather is warmed up, I'm trying to get out for a walk more than go to the gym. I've been slacking a little bit and I really need to get back on that horse. All right, this is actually going pretty good. Thank you, Strange Fabric, for cooperating for once. That was a little hotter than I expected. It's okay though, I didn't burn myself. I have no impulse control. If I burn myself, you'll know it. Just about my foodie gym memberships. I'm lucky because we've got a gym in the basement of my building and it's just part of the facilities. We don't have a lot of amenities, but at least we got that. Very, very handy, let me tell you. I could not have kept in shape throughout the winter without that. I'm not even doing a lot. I'm literally doing like 30 minutes of a brisk walk on the treadmill. Try to do that every day. It really, really helps. So that's when I get time to watch my YouTube videos, watch my stories, as the old people like me say. This is where, again, where Warframes come in handy, because let me tell you, there's lots of Warframe build videos. I've learned most of my builds from watching YouTube videos while on the treadmill. Thank goodness for video game YouTubers, which is a very strange thing to say. Thank goodness for Warframe YouTubers. And other tubers as well, i.e. PeerTube. Speaking of which, I really am bound and determined to do some game streaming this weekend. Didn't do it last weekend, wanted to. It's just always the same thing. Want to, and then when the time comes that I can, I'm like, I don't feel like it. And it will probably be Warframe because it's a new update that just dropped and it's really cool and fun. Okay, there we go. Now you can see where we went with that. We just wrapped it around, glued the underside. That's that. So what we got now is this little tribble. Now I'm tempted to do another layer because like I said, this is very thin, and while you really can't, I mean, you can see some of the white foam under here. This is still pretty good. It actually is because it's a half tribble, which is not what you want if you're a tribble. But I am tempted to do another layer of this just to give it some more bulk and give it some more thickness. That wouldn't be hard to do either. So why don't we do that? Do another layer of this. That means I gotta get some more hot glue. Do the right thing. As we moved into this role one, oh yeah. Online gaming is impossible. Oh no. I could not even imagine. Although I'll bet you it's beautiful where you are. I'll bet you there are compensations for your lack of being able to game online. Okay, yeah, so, now here's where it gets interesting. I want to be careful to not draw on these little rag bits, but I want to get the circumference right. All right, well, let's just try and be careful. Eh. It's me, all over, Mr. Careful. Kevin Careful Blades. Okay, the emote did confuse me there a bit, Demon Dreamer. I guess Twitch just automatically replaces them. Is that Todd Howard? Is that who that is? This is how little I know about online meme stuff. One of the most common Twitch emotes, and I think it's Todd Howard. I don't know the origin of most Twitch emotes, which I probably should, because I'm sure some of them are extremely problematic. Okay, here we go with another messy disc of weird fur. So, same deal. I'm going to do the same thing, and this will just add a second layer to it. Yep, it'll be good. But you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to go grab some coffee. So I will be right back. Speaking of Warframe, oh no, I have to remember it's the primetime live tonight. Every Thursday I keep forgetting, I keep missing it. It's important. Okay. At least you had to look it up too. Thank you, Demon Dreamer. And the great part is, now that this is baked into the video, I don't have to repeat everything. People just read the screen to see the things that I'm seeing. Liquid beans, yes, exactly. Yeah, Warframe. I promise, coming up on the next podcast, I'm going to be talking about a game that is not Warframe or Dragon's Dogma. I promise. Surprise, surprise, I actually have played something that wasn't either of those two. I know, once you get stuck into the Warframe thing, it's like, that's it. It's all over. Oh, okay, anyway. This is a note to yourself, Kevin. Warframe Primetime Live tonight. Watch it. Get your Twitch drops. Very important. Anyway. It's enough Warframe talk in the puppet building stream. Join the Pixels and Puppets channel if you want more Warframe hashtag content. Okay, here we go again. That thing you just did, do it again. I like the fact that we've got more variety in our music now. I'm actually going to go on the opposite side here because this is a little tighter than I would like it. So we're just going to make sure we get the full coverage. You need to build a Warframe puppet. Wow, I was hoping to do something along those lines for going to TennoCon. I don't think I'm going to have the time though. We'll see. I do have a thought along those lines. Of course, it's a reference that only the people who play Warframe would get, so. I am, in theory, going to TennoCon in sometime in the summer, July, I think. I can't remember. Yeah, it's the Warframe Con, and it happens to be in London, Ontario, which is quite, I mean, relatively close to where I live, so it's not a huge deal. And I'm going to be meeting up with some folks from the clan that I'm in for the first time, IRL, and that's very cool and neat. But yeah, no, TennoCon is really interesting. I mean, how many other individual games get their own conventions, right? It's usually like, you know, BlizzCon or something where it's like all of the Blizzard games or something. Now, this is just, it's convention. Well, I guess now it's technically 2 games because Soulframe is in development as well, but it's wild. I think it's safe to say that Warframe is a cult hit. It is not the first thing on every game journalist's mind, but it's been around for 12 years. This is literally the 12th anniversary, and it is going strong and has never had a bigger player base than it has right now. It's growing, like, it's wild. It is a tricky game to get into, but once it clicks hard. The trouble, of course, with Warframe design, it's very complex. Like it's H.R. Geiger kind of level of making a puppet that would do that justice. Not an easy proposition. One more over here is to tack this down. Oh, good question. The AI puppet. Yeah. That is going to be part and parcel with me going out and finding the fur that I need for the build that I'm going to be doing after next week. Because the fur for that will also be something that I could use for the AI puppet. So it is still in the planning stages. But thank you for reminding me. Straight up. I get so caught up in like, okay, what do I have to build, you know, to meet my quota this month that I sometimes forget I gotta make some space to plan new stuff. Okay, here we go. Here we are. That's actually pretty good. That's a nice little chunk of, and that thickness is right. That feels better. So let's have a look here. See what this might look like in theory. Do we have to do anything else to this, or can we just stick this right on? Let's find out. So what I'm gonna do, this is gonna be a little tough to show. Maybe I should go this camera. So here's our chunk of stuff. And if we were to, okay, you know, Obviously, we want to center it a bit better. That's not bad though. So if we glue it down right there, you know, I still feel like it needs something else though. If only I had some yellow feathers. Like the noodles. Yeah, I know, this is very noodly. Look at young Justin Bieber, does it? I guess, oh yeah, I guess, you know. Okay. This needs more thought. I might just go with this, but I'd like to let it sit in the brain box for a little while more before I commit. So we're not going to commit on this stream. I will, of course, post pictures of what I end up doing online. I don't think I have any yellow feathers of any description. 1 second. Let me see. I mean, I've got these. Ugh. Oh, there's so many of these little tiny feather boas. And I just don't know how I would, along the bottom maybe? Like that? I don't know. It's worth looking into. But in terms of long, like ostrich fringe style, let me grab what's left of my bag of feathers. I still haven't replenished my stock, and I'm not sure I'm going to, for various reasons. But this is the bag of what's left of the feathers. I got a lot of black, a lot of black. I think those are rooster feathers, actually. I got blue. I have gray. Why on earth did I ever buy gray? Oh. Some red. Some hot pink. These aren't ostrich feathers. These are hackles or something. These are from a rooster or something. More black. Quite long black. These may in fact be the oracle beard length. I think these are actually, yep. These are what the oracle's beard's made out of. Remember the oracle? I barely do. Don't worry, we're coming back. We'll always be coming back. As long as I'm around, there will be more oracle. I got these orange. These are just individual feathers, though. That might be a challenge to figure out how to integrate. I don't think I have anything that's really going to work with this. We may just end up going with the yellow and calling it a day. I don't think I have anything that's going to pair well with it, unfortunately. I got more junk back here that I can have a poke around with, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to go. I'm probably overthinking it. This is the stage at which I kind of go, you know what? Bring it back. You're overthinking it. It looks good. You're fine. Somebody will love this. I always like kind of pushing it a little further than I think is wise, but it's part of the fun. Oh, you know what I do have? Oh, hang on. So I've got a chunk of this. This is probably, I don't think this is Frankie fur, but it's a similar color. This could be something. Because that's not a bad color combo. So what I could do maybe is I'll do a collar in this, and then a kind of lower. I don't really want to make this wider though. I'm overthinking it. I am overthinking it. This is fine. This is good. We put in some effort here. It looks good. It's a nice chunk of floppiness. There's some secondary motion happening here. Everything is fine. It does look like a coconut macaroon. Now I want some coconut macaroon, diabetic friendly, of course. All right, before I get to that, instead of going back and forth on a live stream. This is usually what's happening inside my head as I'm building. I just happen to be doing it live. Let's think about the purple one here. Because this stuff, I don't want to do the same thing with this. This would not necessarily make good head hair fur. But thankfully, with purple, we have some options. At least I think we have some options. I'm digging through the mountain of scrap. I'm not seeing a lot of options. Uh-oh. Ooh, I did find a bunch of... What? How did I... Okay. This is the weird kid stuff. This is good fleece. I mean, it's not a lot of it, but I could certainly do something with that. Really gotta go through my scrap pile more. That's that. Nope, that's purple fleece. Fleece does not make good hair. I got green. Okay, well, I know for a fact I got a bunch of purple fur over here. Let's see. Forgive me for being off camera. I'm still here, I promise. Black, blue. You end up, this is one of the things, if you're doing this for a long time, I just end up with so many scraps that are like, they're too big to like just get rid of, but they're too small to make a whole puppet out of. And you end up with a lot of that. Okay, I don't have a small scrap of purple. I have a sizable chunk of purple though. Now, let's see. Maybe I can cut it as a piece off. I can cut a piece off of this. Okay, I think I know where we're going. Give me a sec. Grab the scissors. Cut a chunk of this off here. Okay. So it's a different purple. But it is purple. And I think that might look good as head hair. So what I will do, get rid of some of these black feathers that are just lying around. I'll take this, and I'm going to make head hair out of this. So we'll just make a disc similar to this, only not quite as thick. But I'm also going to do a collar. And that will kind of bring it all together, right? This will look good as a collar for this. There's 3 different purples, but at least they're all purples, right? Holding on to scraps is important due to economic struggles. Tell me about it. But this will also look good, right, as head hair. So there we go. That's what we're going to do with this. All right, we got a plan. I love plans. So, first thing I'm going to do, I think I'll do another foam disc, but I won't do it as thick as this. Maybe I should. Tough call. He said. Grab some foam. I do want to make it roughly circular, so I'm gonna... I don't want to just eyeball this, because I'll get it wildly wrong, and then... Where's my Sharpie? Why am I so scattered today? Good heavens. You're not used to this, neither am I. There it is, hiding under the fur. Yeah, it's pretty good. This stuff, and thankfully this stuff and the same stuff. This is like yak, faux yak. This stuff in this color and blue and beige, I can generally get reliably. So that's nice at least. And I think there's a gray as well. It's a real challenge. How's this? Let's see. Okay, we'll go with this. Let me get my foam shears again. We'll just cut out these. Again, doesn't have to be pretty or accurate, just has to be about the right shape. And don't worry about the marks, that's not going to show through. Not enough coffee, are you kidding me? I think I've mentioned it before, but I'm one of those poor unfortunates for whom coffee does not actually really do anything in terms of waking me up or giving me energy or anything like that. It just does not work. I just like coffee. I like the way it tastes. It's delicious. Trim that down a little bit more. I'm only gonna do 2 layers on this one. I don't want too tribbly. Sorry, I'm doing this off camera. I'm doing it over the garbage pail, so scrap falls into the garbage pail. There we go, that's better. Okay. So, same deal, we're gonna glue this together. Blob in the middle. Really mindful of like not getting the hot glue on a finished piece of the puppet. Ask me how I know. So now we wait for the glue to set, and then we basically do the same thing that we did here. We're just going to, cut a big disc of the fur, and then wrap it around and make a thing to glue to the head. I think over the years of caffeine have taken their toll. Yeah, I know it never has though. This is the weird thing. If I drink an absolute mountain of coffee, I just end up feeling sick. There's no, frenetic energy or anything. It's just like, oh, okay, now I'm nauseous. Okay, I think I actually need to cut another chunk of this. This isn't quite big enough. Maybe it will be. This just needs to be pretty big. I'm gonna have to cut another piece to make the collar, that's all. This I am carefully trimming because this is for real fur. So we are trimming just the netting and not the fur. So little snips, just the netting. Getting hot glue out of fur is an experience. Yeah. That's usually when I go, abandon it and make another one. I have had incidents where I just didn't have the time to make another one, so what I've had to do is like trim that bit out and then glue in a patch. Thankfully with fur, it's very forgiving for stuff like that, so you generally do not. You don't see it even when you're close up. What we got time-wise? Wow, okay. Like 15, 20 minutes left. Not bad considering I didn't think I would have anything to do. We're still not going to finish them on stream. I mean, honestly, it's this and then the pupils. This, the collar, and then the pupils, so not a lot left. All right, so we will put Put a dot of glue in the center. I don't know that I have shown this on stream before, so maybe this is worth doing. I'm just gonna hold it. And like I keep saying, I want to reiterate this: hot glue, if you're not on a time constraint, hot glue is not the best tool for this. If you're going to use glue, you should always use contact cement over hot glue. And the better solution for this would to be like maybe tacking it down with some form of adhesive, but also doing a running stitch. That would be the smarter way of going about it, but that also takes more time than I have. So this will work equally well, like, and it'll be as strong and all that stuff. That is what I care about. I need it to be robust, right? This we don't have to be quite as judicious because this fur is thicker, so it's not gonna burn quite as easily. But the reason I do this little sort of foam insert inside it is just to give it some height. I found that if I just make a disc of fur, it's too flat. I want a little bit of height for the hair to make it look fuller. So just going around the whole circumference and just gluing down. And I'm doing folds where, I mean, basically I'm doing darts where the fabric wants to fold, it's sort of letting it fold. And then sometimes, like in a little piece like this, which is a V-shaped piece where that would be a dart normally, instead of cutting it off, I'll just put a little glue in there and then glue that down as well. You just want to get the whole thing kind of flush against the surface, that's all. It doesn't have to be tidy. It's going to be underneath anyway, no one's ever going to see this. Unless something terrible happens. So when I come to a situation like this, where we've got a fair amount left, if I were to keep going around like that, we'd end up with a really big piece that I would have to sort of tack down. So what I'll do, I kind of split the difference and go in the center, tack that down first, and then we'll do it in like 2 chunks rather than 1. A little space out the darts. And this is basically a kind of draping, really. This is a similar process to draping. You're just taking a shape and covering it with fabric. Only here we're not cutting the darts off, we're just gluing them down. You want to make sure you glue them down, because then I'm going to glue this to the head, and you don't want little sort of pieces sticking out, little corners sticking out. I'm going to make the underside flush. Speaking of feathers, I got some of those faux pampas grass for my moth puppet's antennas. Oh, yes, yes, yes. It worked fairly well. I could even use a marker to color it. Very nice. Yeah, I guess that would look a lot like a moth antenna, wouldn't it? Because it's got the little fronds. That's a good thought there. Where did I see those? Was it on Puppet Pelts? Had them or has them? I haven't checked out Puppet Pelts in a long time. Again, ever since the changeover to the new owners and having to import things leaves me with very few options. By very few, I mean none. being careful to not get you get some of the spider webs in here. Those are fine. Pull those off. I'm just getting in here and making sure we're all sort of flush against the surface, right? We don't want bits sticking up. I think you probably meant moth, not mother, a mother puppet. The mother of all puppets. There's another crypto beast I can do. Mothman. Huh. Stupid autocorrect. I know, right? All right, hopefully this will be it. Okay, I think we're good. Seems pretty decent. Oh, there's a little piece right here. I want to get it down. This is it. This is the curse of hot melt, is that there's no second chances, right? Gotta get it right the first time. Okay, I think that will probably do. So there we've got our little tribble. So let's have a look at what that is in theory going to look like once it's on the head. And we'll grab our purple critter here, and boom. All right, see, there you go. It's got some nice height to it. It just adds, adds enough that you get some dimensionality to it. Words hard. So all I would do to attach these, I need to focus on it, so I'm not going to do it on stream, but I'm just put hot glue as close to the edges as you dare, and then just do that. Just hold it like that, and hope. Hope for the best. But yeah, that's that. So after this, I'm gonna make the collar. Oh, but honestly, I don't really want to do that on stream. It's more of the same of this. It's just taking a strip of this and then folding down the edge to make a finished edge, and then I literally just glue it around the. You could stitch it. You should stitch it. I'm against the clock, so I'm going to glue it. But the wings, yeah, I'll be interested to know how you solved that. When I made the Grebe bee, the bee-themed Greebly, I ended up 3D printing the wings out of TPU, which is semi-transparent, and it looks pretty good, although that's different, of course, in the moth wings that you're doing. But they did end up looking quite insectoid, which I liked. They were heavier than I wanted them to be because 3D printing, it's plastic, right? So, and it was a fairly solid chunk of plastic. So they were a bit heavier than I would have liked them to be. They still worked well. They weren't huge, so. We need to buy Earl Greeley. Well, let me finish it first, and we'll see how it goes. I will, of course, be posting pictures on the Discord, probably in another couple of hours because we're real close to the finish line here. But I think that'll probably do it for this. This was a strange stream. It was good. I'm glad. Look at how many people were here. This is fantastic. Love it. Thank you, as always, for showing up. Hopefully, could the wings have been printed thinner? They may have been. I didn't want to risk having them be damageable, though. Again, this is always the challenge with my stuff is I need to make them very sturdy. But when you do that, you also, there's compromises, right? Like you have to either limit your designs, limit the materials. There's a whole bunch of things you have to balance. So I probably could have printed them thinner, but then I would run the risk of them being like terrible because TPU is rubbery. I think it's flexible, so I didn't want to run the risk. Also, I don't think I had the time because TPU takes forever to print. TPU is I think probably the slowest, at least I'm aware of, filament to print with. So it took like 12 hours to print a set of the wings, and I just didn't have the time. So, we had to roll with it. But, things aren't perfect. But yeah, they probably could have been thinner. Although I think they may have been the thinnest I could make them. I can't remember. There was a reason why I went with them the way they did, but yeah, TPU. So most, particularly if you've got a more modern printer like this thing I've got now, this Bambu Labs, long story, but it's really fast. Like it's surprisingly fast. But different filaments print at different temperatures and at different speeds. And so for TPU, which is the flexible stuff, because it has to be melted at a higher temperature, it also has to be printed at a slower speed. Otherwise, you just end up getting blobs, and it's a real mess. So because of that, you have to slow the whole printing process slows right down, and you can like double or even triple the time that it takes to print. So usually, something that would take an hour will take 3 hours just for that. What's the Warframe you've been using lately? So, wow. Okay, here we go. Komai has been my main. I have a pole puppet themed thing. If you go in the Discord, you can see all that stuff. Temple just came out yesterday, and I've been leveling Temple. Temple's a lot of fun. Temple's really weird and unique, but they're a lot of fun. But yeah, I've got a few mains that I bounce between depending on what I'm doing. But Komai is always my default. I just go to Komai for pretty much everything. So all that I haven't got it yet. Yeah, it's not a hard farm. I ended up buying a pack just because I had the platinum, so I got it anyway, and just save the farm. But the farm, to actually get the frame itself, is not difficult. So you do have to max out your rep with the hex. Is the Warframe section of the puppet building stream. I am determined to stream video game stuff this weekend. It might be me, it might be Frankie. It depends on how on camera I feel. So we will see. Anyway, other than that, thank you as always, everybody, for showing up. Hopefully same time next week. In fact, next week should be, if things go to plan, which I'm sure they will. They always do when you've got a plan. Hopefully we'll be doing something that we literally have never done on stream before, or ever for that matter. It's a slight variation of the eyebrow mech, what it's going to be. But hopefully we'll be at that point next time. So thank you everybody for showing up. Welcome to the folks in the Fediverse. I know that we got that shout out from Fedi.video just before we went live, so that's great. Thank you very much for that, etc. And yeah, I'm gonna go definitely finish the last of the pot of coffee and then have some lunch, and then we'll get back to building, finishing these two greeblies. So stay tuned to the Discord, the link of which is on operationpuppet.com. All of the links are there. And yeah, thank you. There we go. Just keep joining the Discord, as that's where the action is. So anyway, I'm gonna go, and you all have yourself a good day. Stay tuned to the Pixels and Puppet stuff this weekend, and yeah, anyway, have a good day.